chose to play on Dust 2. That's going to be our second map, and if we have to, the decider will be Nuke. Now, this is a bit of a grudge match, because exactly, or almost exactly, 1 month ago, in the DreamHack Summer Qualifiers, these two teams faced off in a decider match that left it to finish in overtime of Nuke. Now, just for a bit of context, the scores then, okay, started with a 16-8 win for AGG on Train, then 16-12 for Genius on Dust 2, and then, like I said, overtime on Nuke. So this time around, playing on Train, if Genius have changed things up, if they have improved their approach to the Train map, then they are looking to get more than 8 rounds here, which may be difficult because they're starting on the T side. We see an interesting purchase, though, on the side of Genius, one that goes to show us they may have something up their sleeve. 3 sets of utility, 2 sets of Kevlar. They've got plenty of smokes here to execute, presumably, onto the open site. Heading towards A. The grenades now filtering in. AGG are poised to hold it. 3 players nearby with a 4th on Ivy. Now everyone rotating on over as the T's begin to close the distance. Sven up close and personal, starting to plant that bomb. He gets it through. Jax as well, finding the first frag. AGG on the retake as Rollin finds the first and Hyper finds the second. Shots continuing here, both teams rotating in. This is one hell of a firefight. Everyone trying to find angles, and it's going to be Mad to single out Rollin. Find the headshot before Furlan trades. Ooh, what a one-tap by Instance to hold things up for side of Genius. AGG now tasked with the 2v1. There's a player on the bomb, and he is defusing with the kit in the smoke. AGG picking up the pistol and finding that final frag. Nice. Good start from AGG now. That did look a little scary. They, of course, somehow managed that bomb plant to allow it to come through, even though, at the time, there was so many players on the site. So, they are lucky to have caught that defuse. The smoke defuse combo does come through for the side of AGG, but Genius deciding to invest here, using the money that they earned off of that bomb plant to cushion their purchase with some utility. We see Instance still holding on to a couple of flashes and that smoke as Hueca finds the opening frag. Now Pete rotating in from the back of Ivy. That's where the push comes through for the Frenchman. 3 players filtering out towards that A site, taken down. Grubby landing shots off the back of that FAMAS, and Pete through the smoke to find another. AGG firmly holding on here. Not a single bomb plant possible for Genius. They are isolated, and now they're almost dead. Jax survives until that USP tap does take him down, so AGG converting the point and only losing 1 player in the process. Now, that did cost them a lot of utility. They had to use most of the nades they held onto, but of course with 3 or 2 wins in a row, they'll easily be able to afford just that. Now, they still hang on to a single MP9, 2 FAMAS, and that scout on Pete, looking to make cash here in round number 3. Genius just picking up a couple of upgraded pistols, not much to work with, and probably going for that fast B bomb plant. At least that will be able to cushion their purchase in the following round when they go for their first round of rifles. Grubby starting things off with a 3K, making it look easy with that FAMAS as Jax does find Furlan, but Grubby's 4K doesn't translate to the ace. Hyper is there to clean things up, so another clean round by the side of AGG. Now, AGG, if you guys don't know, are actually the reigning Hitbox Challenger Cup champions. They beat Epsilon in a best of 5 despite being down the 1 map advantage coming from the losers bracket. So AGG are here today defending their title versus Genius, who were actually the very last team to be included in the Challenger Cup because a team had disbanded right before our tournament started, and we found Genius to replace them on short notice. Now, Genius is one of these French teams that's relatively new to the scene. I personally am not too aware of them, although seeing that they had previously brought AGG into overtime was actually quite impressive. I didn't think they'd be of that caliber. I don't think many people actually expect them to be much competition here today. But if anything, they've proved to us in the past when games really do mean something, they can contend quite happily. So they've got their rifles here, and they find that opening peck. Sven with the op to find one, Sven with the op to find two. Takes down both Grubby and Furlan. Those are the two players who hold this B site. Now a retake for the side of AGG. 3 versus 5. They've got to have to come in through that CT spawn, but unfortunately for them, already the T's pushed up so aggressively, have total site control here on the B site. We're going to see Rollin already repositioning over towards A, potentially trying to map out a route to exit if they want to try and save these weapons here, rather than pushing to the 3v5 detriment. Of course, it will be a save by the looks of it. CT's not even trying to close the distance, not even getting close, and the terrorists are going to let them hold on to their weaponry. An easy round for Genius, only losing the grenades that they used to get onto the site. Nothing else lost, but the side of AGG lose not only the momentum, but 2 weapons in the meantime. Of course, being able to save means they'll be able to reinvest easily here, so not too much loss for AGG, and this is actually a really good opportunity for them to reset the economy of Genius early in the first half. So AGG going back to that 1-op setup, no 2-scoped weapons, and still a FAMAS on Pete. They could have upgraded, but I'm assuming they want to play the long con here. Make sure they have an economic backbone to fall onto if need be. Genius, however, in the meantime, once more setting up for this B hit. These pop flashes are nice. Clears out that close ramp, and that allows Instance to take the early peek to make sure that there's nobody up close and personal. So here we go, again, into the later round. 4 players from the side of AGG, the Polish squad stacking that A site, just holding it strong, and it's going to be down to Furlan, alone here over towards B, where Genius has actually headed. The push now coming through. Furlan finds a single, but he's traded out really quickly by Instance. That is a good trade to maintain control for Genius as they begin to activate the device on the back of the site. It's now planted tight underneath the train. T's, though, pushing forward. Here's Mad coming over the top of the smoke, goes down. Grubby has a read on the situation. Instance also to drop here. So 4 versus 2 and health advantage for the side of AGG. They clear them out with ease. 4 players standing on the Polish side. Defuse has never been easier. 4-1 will be your score, and unfortunately for Genius, that's going to reset them economically because they did win that one. Now this means they're going to be awarded $1,400. That gives their squad enough to win, or rather enough to buy into the following round to try and win it using those rifles. If they had lost lots of players in the one round that they won, this would be impossible. But because they have 5 men standing at the end of it, they easily purchase up. We see 5 AK-47s, 5 sets of Kevlar, and 5 sets of utility. So AGG now upgrading to the double op setup, and Train is one of these maps with the very long sight lines that lend itself to this sort of play style. The positioning on the side of AGG should be turret-like, castle-like almost, in the sense that they can just put players posted up on those lanes, hold that map control, and never even allow Genius to start closing the distance. But Genius, again, playing this one slow. They do seem to be prepared for this T side. They have lots of nice smokes that they've been utilizing on that B site. They've already found quite a bit of success. 3 bomb plants for the total of 5 rounds so far. And of course, that's what they're looking to achieve once more at the very least. So here we have it, taking things slow, clock burning down to a minute, and Grubby actually starting to get a little aggressive. AGG closing the distance over here on the open site, and now the hit comes through. Utility on the side of Genius being employed, and they're going to have to run through smokes if they want to take the fight, if they want to push the envelope. Jax starting things off. Instance to chime in as well with that double. 3v5 now for AGG on the retake. Bomb has been planted. Furlan's finding one, but he's also finding death. Sven traded equally, and that will leave things to the 2v4 here. Bomb still planted for the T side, planted for ladder room, which makes it a very difficult retake, especially since there's only 1 smoke left on Rollin, who is lit. Of course, 22 points of health, but he will find a frag. Pete does that by catching Sven looking the wrong way. So AGG again deciding to go for the save here, although Rollin still close to the site, starts to close the distance. He's sitting on the bomb. He's put a smoke. Oh, luckily Mad does find the frag, so that is denied, but a scary ninja attempt by Rollin. Pete has to be cautious. There is a player up close, and he loses that op, so AGG are cleared. They are broken, and they're gonna have to repurchase everything. At least they have all the money they need to do just that, but Genius, again, also feeling the economic downfall of losing multiple players in that round. They're gonna have all the tools they need, but the crucial difference is they have nothing to fall back onto. Only a couple of $1,000 on a couple of players. 2 ops again on the hands of the CT side. Pete, though, taking the aggression and finding that first headshot onto Jax. That is a very dynamic play on the side of the CT. Good initiative in order to find that early advantage. 5v4 now, not to mention Instance, already lit, down to 40. Again, Genius just playing this T-side so slowly. They actually managed to cross there. Quaka almost caught out by that op shot. Instance tries his best to burst down into the bottom of ladder, but of course Hyper in that close quarter combat easily clears that one up. And now Quako's going to have to rotate, grab that bomb, and fall back to his squad, who are pushing in through Ivy, trading frags for the time being. Mad gets one as Grubby goes down. 2v4. This is a difficult task to be facing here for the side of Genius, especially made more difficult considering they are so split up on opposite sides of the map, trying to pincer forward onto the side of AGG. The Polish squad just playing patiently, and now they've spotted Hueca. And not only do they spot him on the top, but they spot him with the bomb. His teammate Mad caught out in Ivy. He'll have to be careful. There's a player up close, and he rounds the corner just in time, finds the headshot onto Hyper. 1v3, attempts his closeout towards the A site, actually picks himself up a double, finds the player on the site. There's still time to work with here, but now both CTs are setting up this crossfire. They should be able to deny the plant. The time ticking down ever so quickly. Pete caught out with a headshot. 5 seconds on the clock. Furlan in the 1v1. He goes for the wide peak, and he finds himself that frag. He denies Genius his opportunity to come back. Hueca nearly in the 1v4. My lord, what a close round there. AGG feeling the wrath of that AK-47. That is an expensive situation for them. It should have been a cushioning round for their economy, but instead they're going to have to rebuy back down to nothing. So Genius lose the round, and that is unfortunate. But since they know that the CT side is suffering economically, not as badly as them, of course, we see the difference in the two purchases, Genius on pistols and SMGs. But either way, both teams are currently not firing on all cylinders. This is a good opportunity for Genius to come back into this game, but they're going to have to do it here. They're going to have to do it now. And if they manage to find 3 T rounds this early, that is success in and of itself. Sven with that MAC-10 to start the ball rolling. First frag down towards Ivy. We see Grubby reposition out towards close, but Hyper goes down after finding one. Jax and Hueca timing their peaks simultaneously to find those frags. Now CT's not quite sure what they need to do. They see them reeling. We see Furlan over towards B repositioning. He rotates back towards CT. Now he decides to go back to the site, so they're trying to understand what exactly the terrorist side are doing. They do have 1 minute to work with here, and this is the type of situation that can be very stressful for either side because they're not entirely sure where the opposing forces are coming from. They don't know the direction of the assault, and it's up to the terrorists to make that decision. They get the benefit of choosing the decision, and it seems like they're going towards B. Now, of course, Instance is still sitting on that MAC-10, which is why it makes sense for him to be the bomb planter. The Opper should, in this position, go up towards Heaven, but instead seems to be going down the ramp. The bomb and its bodyguard will be taking the upper angle instead. Mad finds the opening frag. Furlan with the trade, but Jax does the same. 2v1 for Genius now. They are about to find a victorious round off the back of 1 AK and 4 pistols, but here it is. Grubby landing shots, takes Instance down to 8. He's gonna have to be cautious here. He's just trying to bait out shots, trying to create a distraction, and that's going to allow Jax to get into a position and find this frag, but Grubby now closing the distance. He's tapping the bomb, trying to duel out the peaks, but the T's can time this perfectly. They do. Grubby, he finds the first one, and now it's on to Instance to get the shot. He lands it. Genius find their third, and now AGG are the players on the back foot. We see their economy in shambles. Genius go for that high risk, high reward play. They force buy when it's questionable, and they come out on top. Now look at the buys here. 2 AKs and a FAMAS for Genius, an UMP and a MAC-10 to close things off, but of course any of those weapons should be able to rip through the Polish side. We see a CZ, 2 of them, a P250 and a DIG. Still, Grubby own nothing but that standard pistol, so 0 investment or nearly anything on the side of AGG here in round number 9. Genius off to a good start, and they have the potential to walk away with momentum here. Jax, he's going to win that entry duel on the bottom of stairs. Now that starts things off right, because they can now hit A from 2 different directions. They do exactly that, and they start to realize, as do I, the A site is wide open. 4 players for the side of AGG had been sitting on B, but unfortunately for them, they stacked the wrong site, and now they will pay the price. It's going to be Hueco to start things off. Headshots on the MAC-10, but Pete and Furlan coming in with frags of their own. Take it back to the 3v3, and now they've retrieved an AK. Instance, using that FAMAS, gonna find one more, takes it down to the advantage for Genius. The Frenchman doing a good job of holding on to this bomb site in the after plant. Now, this round has already been expensive for them. They've lost one of their AK-47s, and they lost a MAC-10. Now, the MAC-10, that's losable. Don't worry too much, don't sweat it. But that AK-47 in the hands of Furlan, now that's a little bit harder of a bullet to bite. That's a loss they could have tried to minimize, but they do walk away with the round, and they have to be excited with that. Furlan hanging on to that AK, coming into round number 10. Genius potentially poised to tie this game, because the economy of AGG is calling for a double save. They need to get back onto the full buy, and they won't be able to do it here in round number 10. So if Genius are capable of closing this out, as they should, 3 players with pistols and no armor, Grubby with a defuse kit and deagle, and of course Furlan picks up a set of armor to couple with the AK he retrieved in the previous round. Now AGG swap things out. Rather than stacking B, they go for the A hit. 4 players on the site with those guns. Furlan, the only man with that AK, is at the bottom of the ladder. But now they've rotated, they've got the read, they've realized, AGG, that since there is no early aggression by Genius towards A, that they are setting up for the B hit. And they're going to be using those Molotovs and utility to clear out angles here. This will allow for a push out towards B. They're trying to close the distance. Grubby, the front man, though, he will find one off the back of that deagle. Rollin with the P250 does the same, but Sven and Hueco, they have the trades. Rollin now pinned behind the oil train, goes down with ease. Furlan and Pete, the last 2 standing. Now, Furlan's still trying to engage from the edge of connector, but the interesting player is Pete. His positioning coming from the flank could definitely cost Genius off guard. Furlan distracting well, finding a kill through the smoke and damaging the second. What a phenomenal spray transition. Pete from the flank finds the frag. It's now down to the 2v1. They have the AKs, they have the kill, and the defuse will come through. AGG somehow, with a single AK-47 off the back of a single Kalashnikov, managed to keep their lead and extend it by 2. That's a round that Genius should have had any day of the week. That one has to hurt. Losing that will have a moral effect, no doubt. $7,000 across the board for everyone on AGG to rebuy here. We see Rollin pick up the AWP. Grubby picks up an M4. So 4 rifles, 1 sniper on the side of Genius. 5 AKs with limited utility as well. They're going to have to execute whenever they decide to use most of those smokes, because they only have 3. So they won't be able to fake much here. They have to actually employ their utility and work off the back of it. Jax, he'll be taking point here as they try to entry back towards B. They do get themselves onto the site, but Grubby's there to shut things down. Finds that opening frag, and Furlan gets a one of his own. 3v5 now, make it 2. Jax lit on the site, trying to plant that bomb, but that molly's going to burn him alive. He does manage to get the plant in time, but the fire does cause his demise. Now Grubby, up close and personal, could smell the breath of Sven. Those 2 players coming face to face in the smoke. They do manage to take the site back with ease, though. AGG now up by 3 without losing a single player in the round. Now again, the economy having a negative impact on what Genius can do. We see them sitting currently at only $3,400 invested in this round off the back of a couple pistols, no armor, no nades, nothing. They're just going to have to try and close the distance, get close to a site, cross their fingers, and hope for a plant. But Jax starts things off on the right foot. There's the one-tap headshot with the Juan Dig. Rollin playing that smoke with a P250 does manage a trade here. So Sven caught off guard, not watching his back, and Hoika, unfortunately, because of that smoke, cannot find the trade. He is now dispatched. Rollin, he has the op on his back, but hell, who needs the sniper rifle when you have a P250? 2 kills thus far with that pistol, making money. In the meantime, though, they are lit. Rollin down to 8, Hyper 58. 3 players on the side of Genius, still fully health, but again, so limited with that buy. 2 Deagles quickly dispatched of Hyper with the spray control, finding 2 at the long range, just shredding them because they have no armor. But Mad now trying to trade things back off the back of his Deagle. Does land some shots, but that is all that he gets. 40 seconds on the clock, and it's only a matter of time before they hunt him down. Back onto the double op setup for the Polish side. Those 2 ops, again, I brought it up earlier, so powerful on a map like Train, so long as you don't get pushed too aggressively. But Genius, since they don't have an op of their own, I'm assuming, are just going to try to play as a unit. We see 2 players already heading towards B, 2 players towards Ivy. Now, bomb is dropped, which is indicative of a slow play here. They're not going to be committing too much early, and now they can't because they are at the man disadvantage before Mad trades things back. That is crucial. Genius managed to equalize the disadvantage in a very rapid fashion. But Hyper, again, playing the bottom of this ladder, just finding easy frags. It seems as though Genius don't know how to clear him out of here. Not the flashbang not connecting, and then just the drop-in misplayed. Not a single point of damage actually being returned as Hyper finds that easy kill. So again, this is a 4v3, both ops still in play for the CT side. They're trying to isolate and pinpoint the positioning of the terrorists, but it's not easy because they're playing it dynamically. I mean, we saw 2 players applying pressure over towards Ivy at the beginning of this round. Already those 2 same players have now rotated themselves into the upper area with the bomb, and they're probably going to be trying to come down ladder, which they do, so it will be the A split. But Rollin here, playing between the trains, is looking for the trade as Hyper goes down. Shots landing from those sniper rifles, the big green guns doing damage. Now the bomb plant, though, becomes a possibility. Mad somehow works his way past the A site into Z and has an open line of sight straight to B, but he's going to have to be quick or else the CT side will realize what's happening here and they should be able to collapse upon him before he gets much done. So still, Mad just playing his time, now only finally working to the site, but again, it's too late. He is going to be able to punch the numbers in, but Furlan, already sitting at top, has spotted him out, finds the engagement, and finds the frag. Bomb plant nonetheless for Genius. That'll help them in their purchase next round, but still, if he had gotten there faster, he could have planted the bomb and then also gotten into a better after plant. He's caught in rotation, and that's what loses him his life. So AGG managed to hold on to another, even though that one did get a little sticky towards the end. 9-4, leading by 5, still using those double ops. A decent buy by the Frenchman this round, 4 AK-47s and a Galil, but Jax makes up for his limited firepower with the healthier utility. He's got himself 3 grenades. His teammates also having those 2 extra smokes means that there's a decent amount of utility here for the offensive to utilize. Now, they're going to have to give out these lines of sight because there are oppers on the map, and one of them, Rollin, sitting on the back of Zed. Now, Furlan is the committed B-site player. He has that AK, but he's playing back as well. So I think their AGG is playing this as though it may be an eco round. They don't want to get up close and personal on the off chance that they actually have to face armor and tech 9s. But, of course, it is the buy here. Furlan to start things off. There's Rollin trading as well off the back of that op, but Instance does find the headshot, and now the op caught out of position goes down to the shot of Jax. That Galil comes through massively, and that's going to maintain this 3-3 equal body count for the time being. Bomb ticking down. Hyper on the flank though. He spots two, takes down the player on site. He calls the guy in smoke and lands the shot through it nonetheless. Here it is. Grubby now just needs to spray down, and with the last bullet in his mag, finds his team that final kill. Now round 14 coming to a close as Hyper defuses the bomb, and we have AGG sitting on a 6-point lead. They're looking to close it out 10-4. Now, this is Train. Historically, it is CT-sided. Some would argue now that it has been revamped that it is less CT-sided than previously, but again, we see a lot of defuses here. AGG finding success in their round wins, but Genius finding success in their bomb plants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 bomb plants over 14 rounds. Now this means that they're getting to the sites, but they just don't have the after plant potential that they need to close them out. Furlan, again, finding early frags here. He gets the advantage, as does Pete on Ivy, but the difference is Pete is traded. Mad there in position to go off of his teammate. Now, for some reason, Hueka in the middle of the open, caught with a nade in hand. Hyper just manages to get the better of the timing, finding that frag before Jax does the same. Now Mad, ooh, he'd worked his way through Ivy, finding yet another kill. So 2v2 here. AGG having that early advantage again. Time and time again, you see this happen. They get those opening picks, they put themselves at the number advantage, and then somehow either Genius equalize the numbers or still find a bomb plant somewhere. Now Furlan is lucky to be alive because the op shot from Mad just chimed in to the back of his head. He was almost caught dead there. Mad missing the shot, missing the opportunity. That could be a huge round changer. Rollin, he is sitting on A, sitting on the bomb plant, and he spots Mad. Mad goes down. Now a 1v2 for Genius. The bomb is close to the site, close enough to plant, with enough time to work this as well. He needs to isolate these fights into 2 separate 1v1s, and if he can win one of them, then he can plant the bomb. But if he tries to do it with 2 players left, they will just push him, which they do anyways. Rollin finding the final frag and giving AGG their 11th round here in the half. After Genius found some footing starting off in the rifles, it's AGG to win 6 consecutive, shutting that one down quite strongly. Now they're going to be switching over to their T side to see how they start. Again, I'm going to bring it up. These teams did play 1 month ago for the DreamHack Summer Qualifier, and that time when they played Train, it was AGG who won the map, but the final score was 16 for AGG, 8 to Genius. So at the very least, Genius need 4 more rounds to tie their previous score. Anything more than that will at least be an improvement. If they manage to use some early momentum to come back into this game and actually win it, who knows? Anything is possible. This is Counter-Strike, of course. Hyper, though, he's going to be the point man here on the A site. AGG taking the aggression, and already they've gushed 2 players down to under 20 points of health. Hyper finding that opening frag. Hueka, it will be rotating back towards the end of the 1-2 lane, but again, bomb now planted, so this will be an easy hold for AGG. They just have to come out top of these duels. They have the man advantage, and now they have the 2-man advantage. Hueka caught in the back lines as Furlan finds another one onto Sven. Ivy now cleared, which means all players for Genius coming from this connector area, they're going to have to filter themselves out onto the site. They're pushing aggressively forward and going down. Furlan finds headshots. Jax does the same, but Pete from the top of the office, Spider-Man's down. Forward, finds the headshot and the pistol. AGG poised to close this out. Now, if they can get these following 2 conversion points, that's going to put them at 14, and Genius will have to come back all the way to victory, or at least overtime. Very little upgrade on the side of Genius. They want to get themselves the strongest buy possible as quickly as possible. We see a Deagle, a 5-7, 2 sets of armor. So 2 players here are prepared to not only fight, but then use weapons if they can retrieve them. And that's going to be both Instance and Mad. Now, they are 9-0, which means they are amongst the players stacked here on A, because everybody on the side of the Frenchman is sitting on this site, just giving up map control, crossing their fingers, and hoping that AGG heads their way. All of a sudden, the fast rotate over towards B. Of course, AGG having all this time in the world to work things out. They slowly take enough map control to realize B site is wide open. So not only do they get this bomb plant, but they need to know exactly where Genius is. They have this isolated. We see Hyper already in CT spawn. He'll be able to line this up, easily finding that one frag, and now it's confirmed. The players are sitting towards Ivy. Here comes Rollin with that AK to find himself some frags, but Sven, still amongst the trains, does return the favor. Finding one, he retrieves the gun, but only for a moment. Instance, however, will find another kill off the back of that 5-7, taking AGG down to 3. Furlan, Rollin, Grubby remain, and they are spread thin across the map, but at this point they already have the round in the bag. They could go hunting if they wanted to, but of course the CTs still only have nothing but those pistols. They retrieve a MAC-10 and they find another kill. That could be an AK, and it is. Hueca retrieves it just in the nick of time. They will have a rifle moving forward here in round 18, but AGG have a rifle of their own, times 4. A Galil on the side of Pete, but 3 AKs should hit the board. Rollin yet to buy, although I'm assuming there it is. With a couple bits of flashes, they have plenty of utility to work with as well. So Genius are going to need Hueca to go huge here. Instance does still have his armor from the previous round, but other than that, all of their eggs are in one basket. That basket being round 19, when they purchase themselves everything they can afford and come back into this game. At least that's their plan. AGG, presumably, have another idea in mind, and that is a quick closeout here. They've been making quick work of Genius on their CT side. This makes sense considering, of course, it is the map pick of AGG. Explicably so why they are so confident. And I mean, if I remember correctly, this lineup for AGG, I don't want to be wrong, but played under the name of eBettle at one point. I could be mistaken, and excuse me if I am, but I remember them having Train being one of their good maps. So this map has been in their rotation for the longest time now. These are guys who are very comfortable on this fringe map, and they should be, especially against a team like Genius, who they know they've previously beat on it. So again, everything rolling for AGG, exactly what they'd expect. They spot Hueca over there with that AK, so his arsenal dropped on the ground, cold by his dead feet, as Grubby begins to punch the numbers into the explosive. And now Instance, the last man standing. He is lit. He is dead. Pete finding the headshot around the corner. And now that's AGG to be 1 point away from securing overtime. They have everything they need, of course, having won all 3 rounds from the beginning of the second half. But this round, they're dealing with a whole new beast. It's going to be Genius with the buy. M4s, and an AWP on Sven. The Mag-7 on Hueca. Now that's an interesting purchase because the Mag-7 is a weapon that is viable on Train, but it is very dependent on the positioning. I'm sure we're going to see Hueca go towards the towards the ladder by Trains. It's the only place that really makes sense unless you're towards B, but that's where Instance is playing from. That's where Instance is getting headshots to start things off. He finds 2. Sven with the AWP, a headshot of his own onto Rollin. All of a sudden, AGG getting shut down. 4 players down. Hyper, the last man standing, and Genius, off the back of this purchase, have found some footing here late on Train. Good flash work to secure that one, and Sven's op shot onto Hyper finds the final frag, so well done on the side of Genius. They get themselves 1. Now, remember, the scoreline, again, in their previous matchup, was 16 for AGG, 8 for Genius. They are now 3 rounds away from securing the same scoreline, 4 from improvement, which, at the end of the day, even if you do lose, should always be looking to improve. It's a personal philosophy of mine, and hopefully Genius feel the same, because they want this game to be as close as possible. They want to prove that they are worth our time. Of course, I mentioned they were the late addition to this tournament lineup, and today is their opening game, so it's the chance for them to get the eyes on this relatively new team from France. A slow round from AGG. Now, they have such a lead that they've gone ahead and purchased into this one. They're able to afford those 2 AKs and an AWP on Pete, but pistols only for Furlan and Hyper. They're going to be needing to retrieve some weapons off the dead enemies. Or in this case, their teammates. Rollin to be the first to drop. That's an AK now in the hands of Furlan. Hoika on the ladder with the Mag 7 finds a frag, but it's quickly traded there by Furlan. And Jax does the same. Pete as well chiming in, finding kills, and now they've equalized it back to the 2v2. They know that that Mad is over towards Ivy. They have a read on the situation. He was firing shots through the smoke, and Pete with the peek finds the shot. There it is, the frag in favor of AGG. Now Grubby with the bomb, planting the device. This means instance. The last man standing, rotating in from Ivy, has a difficult task at hand. They've located him now as well, and if Grubby holds an angle, they'll have him pinned. Exactly that. He has to push up through these lanes, and he's going to be to his demise because he walks into the crosshair of Grubby, who secures AGG their 15th round. Now one away from victory off the back of a single op and 2 AKs. Not only that, they have a broken buy, but Genius actually find the opening pick, so they had that 5v4 advantage, and yet they still manage to lose the round. So AGG unfortunately now, or excuse me, fortunately now back onto 5 rifles. They're happy about that because they found success with less. So why not try and close this out right here, right now. Now Genius hanging on by a thread. They are going to have a couple of rifles, 2 M4s, 2 FAMAS, and again Hoika with the ladder shotgun finding frags aplenty. But just like the previous round, he's traded as he attempts to run backwards. Now instead, maybe he should just sit in the ladder, because that way he's at least isolating the side of AGG from pushing forward. But suddenly, just like that, everybody on Genius is dead. This game is done. Dusted over. 16-5, ladies and gents, is the final scoreline. A blowout on the side of Genius. AGG walk away victorious. So map 1 comes to a close, and the Polish side now take the lead. Of course, this Counter-Strike cannot be brought to you without our phenomenal sponsors, so a huge thanks to Hitbox, who actually provides us with this great streaming platform, CSGO Lounge, and Razer, appreciated as always, and Cases for Real, a Russian cases site that you guys should definitely check out. They do all sorts of promotional stuff, really good news always coming from them, so if you stay tuned, it's sure to be to your benefit. And talking about your benefit, Pixelfire GG. This is an organization, an entertainment organization, Pixelfire Entertainment, that brings all of this together, makes it possible. They're the guys who are responsible for me being here today, so if you enjoy my casting, it's all because of them. And they want to give you guys more than just a decent caster. They want to give you guys an Overwatch Origins Edition. It's actually a giveaway that they are doing on Twitter. If you guys head over to their page, which is Pixelfire GG, you guys can enter in a chance to win a Origin Edition Overwatch physical copy for whichever you'd like. So by all means, guys, go ahead and do that. Take the time in between games to help out yourself. Go win some free stuff. Everybody likes free stuff. Again, I am Scrawny. If you guys want to support me, you can follow me at ScrawnyGG, and I will be back with the second map. I'll see you shortly. Don't go too far. So we're back, gentlemen, into Dust 2, the knife round to decide who starts where. Now, this could be crucial because, again, I'm going to bring this up. I really do believe that Genius has what it takes to come back into this game, especially here on Dust. Last time they won 16-12. Now, that's a closer game than obviously what we just saw on Train, but still, starting things off right with the knife at the very least. Not a single death in the process until Jax goes down. So, clean knife round from Genius, and hopefully, as far as they're concerned, they'll be able to do the same when it comes to the crucial rounds. And they're going to swap. Hueca making the call. They will be the T side to start things off here. AGG, CT side for the beginning of the game. Now, of course, you guys just watched it, but if you are just tuning in, Train, the previous map, was won by AGG. They currently lead the series 1-0. Genius are playing for their life and looking to take this one to Nuke. Nuke. Pistol round should be a good one. We see 2 sets of utility on the side of Genius. Now, they did the same thing on Train. Train, they had 3 sets of utility for their pistol, so I like to see a heavy tactical presence. But we have an issue being called here. Bug on the side of the server. 2 CT coaches. So this will have to reset, guys. We will have to come back into this one. We got a sniper. An intruder on the side of the CTs. So we'll restart with that one quick and then come back into the real rifle round. Again, don't panic. This one, not live. Not live. Now, I don't normally try to bring up chat during the game itself. It's a principle of mine I try to avoid, but I do see Olaf Meister bringing up a good point here. He says that AGG lost, but Genius switched to T. Is this a new EU strat? But it's actually a lot of teams in the scene of itself that will like to play T side first. It's arguably the favored side on Dust 2. Statistically speaking, terrorists do have a higher win percentage than the CT side when it comes to rounds. So I understand why Genius would want to start on T side, because Dust 2 is one of those maps where you can actually set the pace of the game very early. And it's so cheap to buy rifles that you get onto the rifles time and time again on Dust, where it's one of these maps that becomes a much more pug style play. It comes down to frag power, which I think is why maybe Genius can necessarily be a challenger here on Dust. A Train is a map that takes a very strong tactical presence, and I don't think we quite saw that from Genius. So maybe lending themselves to a play on Dust, they'll actually just be able to out-frag AGG. They're not known to be the utmost of best killers, but still, we'll have to see it here. But I wouldn't say that Dust 2 T-side is an unorthodox decision. If anything, it's quite standard. I know I like to start on T just because, like I said, you can set the pace of the game. You know what you have to accomplish going into your CT side, and generally you can make it close. So, Genius, they're going to keep to their same buy. 2 sets of utility, 3 sets of Kevlar. On the opposite opposing forces, we see the same. 3 Kevlar, 2 armor, and a kit on Hyper. Hueca, he'll be making some noise over towards B to start things off, using that frag grenade, creating some confusion, but again, it's that fast cap play for Genius. They're off onto the right foot, but now bringing things back just slightly here. Now, they've been spotted out. Rollin did peek through the doors and saw those players, and they're going to start closing on him. He's flashed, and he's not able to find a frag. Sven to start things off. It's the late mid to B. What a cheeky play. Here it is, Mad. All of a sudden, finding headshots as Grubby does find one, but goes down quite quickly. 3v4. AGG on the back foot. Disfavored in this situation, but they'll be at least coming from 2 different directions. Hueca shuts them down. Completely decimated in the lower tunnels. Genius certainly poised to walk away with the pistol round here and potentially convert it to 3. Now, Pete still has his USP, and let's not count him out. He can certainly try his best to come back into this one, but it'll be difficult, no doubt about it. They will exit through the tunnels, and that's what's going to lend itself to the hands of AGG. There is that last player, Pete, just waiting. He taps the one headshot. Hueca drops. They want to minimize the amount of armor saved, and they will only find one. So Pistol goes to the Frenchman, and they start things off at the advantage. AGG, however, they want nothing to do with Genius's victory. Force buying right into this round here off the back of 2 scouts, a couple CZs, and that P250. Now, Rollin, of course, he's going to be saving, I believe. That's why he only buys that one pistol. I'm assuming to get himself onto the op, to either use it himself or to throw it away. But either way, that's why he's limited. Everybody else, though, the other 4 players, all going for a heavy purchase and caught off guard by that flash. Hueca just going massive again in this round. Almost finds 2, but it will be Hyper to escape with his life for the time being. Instance applying pressure on mid as Jax is there to eat his teammate's nade. Rollin and Pete taking things back, but Sven has a scout of his own and lands the headshot through the edge of the box. So now 3v2. Genius working to the site, but the problem is they've been counted here. They know the cross is coming. Hyper peeks the door. What a clean headshot to shut down Jax. That's the bomb carrier, and that's going to buy a lot of time for AGG. They can win this 2v1 on the site, and if they do exactly that, as they're about to, it could be 2 separated duels. But now Sven shows up in time to save the day. He finds that opening frag onto Hyper, and it's up to Pete in the 1v2. Now, he does have a scout, but he's tagged by that flash. He looks away, misses the shot, tries to get the kill, and he does. Sven taken out of this round. Now Mad has the AK, but Pete with enough HP caught looking the wrong direction. That's heartbreaking if you are on AGG. They were so close to closing that out. The last player was so incredibly lit, but it's not enough. They come within the cusp of victory just to let it slide away from them. But again, they can't be too upset because that was a lot of success. They made that really expensive here. So one save round from AGG will allow Genius to potentially walk away with another one, but, and a big but, AGG is ready to come back on all cylinders. They need that AWP. They'll have rifles and everything they need to come into it. They just have to get there. They're going to have to survive this crushing defeat, unless by some miracle or stroke of luck, Genius throws this one away. They have all the tools they need for victory. They even have an op on Sven, so he needs to make sure that he doesn't get caught off guard, and he won't, because he's still in T-spawn, with the bomb actually, which is delaying this B hit. First pick going towards Mad. Rollin, though, by the car, tries to trade back, does lay down a bit of damage, but it will not be enough. Still 0 frags for the Polish side. Genius sitting on 5 versus 3. Pete, though, has a good chance here. Easy headshot for him. Hueca taken out of the equation, but the flank not coming in at the right time. Mad deals with it accordingly. Hyper drops without finding one, which means Pete has this Mac 10 to work with. He's going to be trying to do a bit more damage before the CTs go into their buy round. If they can prevent as much money as being saved as possible, then that's all they're really looking for here. So Furlan doing the same thing, waiting outside of mid doors patiently for the peak. It's going to be instance to take the duel. He's lit now, down to 37 points of health. Jax with the AK, trying to control the spray, trying to find the headshot, and he will. He escapes with his life and his weapon, but Furlan, hot on their heels, does actually cost them that 1 kill. So an AK is dropped out of the equation. At the very least, they do have that working for them, the silver lining of a difficult situation. But now we have the round that matters the most, a purchase from the side of AGG. Double ops already. This is a huge investment. They absolutely need to win this round because they have nothing to work with afterwards. And I don't know if I actually agree with 2 ops early, because look at Pete. He has no nades, no armor. Rollin, he has body armor, but again, no utility. The entire CT side is lacking when it comes to utility, but they do have weapons, and I mean, that's the only plus here. I would have liked to maybe see the pick up 1 op, Pete get himself some more utility to work with, hold off the aggressive or defensive side of the T's, and then come in later once you can justify 2 ops with more of an economy. To me, that makes sense to pick it up, because Dust 2 is not one of those maps that you necessarily need double ops on. It's actually a map that some teams play with no ops for the CT side. So, again, questionable purchase, but I hope they make me eat my words. I hope they prove to me wrong. That nade will not connect for any damage. So again, a very slow round here. Genius just trying to feel things out. Now they've gotten the bomb up catwalk with 3 players near it. That's going to be a cat push if I've ever seen one. But Pete, off the back of that glass cannon, does find the opening pick. So he has impact and no losses for the time being. The second op will miss though, and Mad coming in from tunnels. That's it. The B site has collapsed. And Jax gets through the window, dies in the process, but the bomb at least does fall on the T side of the wall. Now, Hueca still using this mid control to cut off the rotation as the plant comes through. Furlan and Pete trapped inside CT spawn. They are starting to push up. They have a read that the players watching the door have left. But again, this is a 2v3 here, and a difficult one at that. They have no utility. They can't smoke off tunnels. They can't flash through doors. This is what I'm saying. The purchase they made with those 2 ops is costing them. The lack of utility and lack of armor is their demise. Now, Pete is trying to run. He's trying to save this op, but he has players hot on his heels. He'll have to try his best to escape. He's taking damage and missing shots. He does land it onto Hueca. Tries to get the second. Now he's down to 40 and a player up close. He lands the body, not the frag, and he goes down. So AGG lose everything there at the end of round number 4. Genius on a hot streak yet to be answered, and it'll have to be the pistol purchase from the Polish side. Now, Genius do have all the tools they have to work with, right? We see 5 sets of utility. An op again in the hands of Sven. 3 AKs and Hueca off that MAC-10, just looking to make some cash. It makes sense because he is the point man, clearing out corners quickly. He's going to find himself an easy frag, and that doesn't just mean kills, but also money. That MAC-10 is like an ATM. Just throws out cash time and time again. So good start for the T side. Going to be planting that bomb with the 4 versus 5 retake now coming through. But all 4 CTs actually going towards T spawn. They're going to be trying to isolate the players from the back, trying to find them caught off guard, and maybe at least make this expensive. That is what they need to accomplish at the very least. Now obviously a defuse would be nice, but a defuse would also be very unlikely. They're going to try their best though. They don't even have a kit. So really it's only frags they're looking for. Jax waiting for the lower push. Easy headshot onto Hyper. He tries his best, but it's not enough. 2 players still for the side of Genius in the site, and the CT is now pushing it. They want this duel to go their way, but Jax is here to line him up and take him down. He gets 2 before Hueca adds another frag with that MAC-10. Excuse me. No, it was a MAC-10. Before he swaps out to the AK and saves the rifle for the following round. So, AGG, I'll give them credit. They had the heart to go for it, try to clutch it out, but they are not successful in that. And again, going back to the double op setup now, maybe it's their CT side that relies on this. I don't know AGG all that well, but I mean, we did see a lot of opping on Train, and if they're the kind of team who likes to play 2 ops all the time, then it makes sense that they play Train regularly and that they're good on Train. Because if they have 2 good oppers, then obviously you want them to have those rifles in their hands. But Rollins starting things off with that scoped weaponry, quickly traded out by Jax, who's applying pressure mid, working up towards B before Furlan has the trade. Now the push from the Tons, 2 Ts pushing out, finding kills, but they're lined up. Furlan finding his 3rd of the round before Hueca from the flank finds 2. Those players looking the absolute incomplete opposite direction. Furlan now in the 1v1. Hueca with the HP advantage here. There it is. He's landing shots. He gets the frag. 1v3 clutch flank. What a round by Hueca to secure the 6th for Genius. That's tough, man. That's a round that AGG should have won any day of the week. I mean, they have 2 players in CT. I don't understand why they're still watching the same thing. Not to mention, if he dropped from Cat, he made noise in the process. The second player just never even seemed to react to the play. And then, of course, it's easy to find that 3rd frag when you are so lit. So, well done. I have to give him credit. That was a huge play by Hueca to keep things in the hands of Genius. Now, again, a force buy on the side of AGG. Furlan with that scout. They have those upgraded pistols, but they will have enough economy to obviously pick up a round after this, a buy round that is. Full round loss bonus at this point. They're just trying to equalize their economy so that everybody is near the same, affording what they can and still being able to purchase in the following one. That's where they get the scout and the armor. That's where they get these deagles. But again, a good start for Genius as they find the opening frag. They have the momentum to keep pushing here. T-side working out wonders for them. They just seem to have it going, although it has relied on a lot of individual plays. How much longer will they succeed in having those kills? That is the question. But Furlan, he's had enough. He at least denies the cat push for the time being. Molotov on the site does make him lose control, but now 3 players pushing up long. He finds another headshot onto Mad before Jax trades out the kill and takes a site into the hands of Genius. Now 3v2, an AK picked up on Rollin. Both CTs sitting in cat, but it looks as though Rollin will reposition. Heading towards CT as Hueka finds a clean headshot and shuts down that push. Now, I could have possibly seen the 2 players split coming in from both Cat and CT, but now that Rollin's on his own, it only makes sense to save. We see him falling back, trying to hang on to this AK into the next round. Of course, it just means that they'll be able to afford utility and have more of a backbone left over. Genius, so much money here. No, excuse me, I'm not even correct. I'm actually wrong. It's Sven with 7.6, but the rest of the team actually not in the best of positions. So Genius not really running away with an economy, but still finding rounds, which at the end of the day do matter most. Now 7-0. No response yet from AGG, but another gun round. This could be it. They've come close before, but yet have they had the taste of victory on their lips. Rollin, you cheeky bugger, buys himself an auto sniper. Now this goes to show that AGG are fed up. They're no longer want to deal with just a regular game. They want to crush Genius, and they're going to try to do that with that auto. Now it does make sense to have the auto sniper over towards the B site. For the time being, I would expect it to be standing behind the box, but he's actually sitting in the doors, so he will be the player to turn and try to shut down the mid to B or mid to CT push, which is sort of being employed a little bit here by Genius. They do have 3 players in that middle area. Of course, Hueka just watching the long flank, and the same can be said for the bomb carrier, who's now rotating back towards B. They've got 3 players in mid, 1 on each extremity, just maintaining this map control and burning down the clock, trying to get a feel for the CT side, trying to understand where exactly it is they have positioned themselves. Now, the utility on the side of the CTs is starting to get low, but so is that of Genius. They still have 3 mollies to work with, but only 1 smoke and a couple of flashbangs. They'll have to be careful and implement this properly, or else they may be caught out late in this round. There's only 35 seconds left, so they will have to make a play, and they're going to do that right now. Bursting, exploding quickly up that catwalk towards the A site. The flashbang catches 3 completely white, but unfortunately Pete doesn't go for the peak, and Jackson Mad finding kills. That's going to secure the bomb plant here. Planting it for Cat as well means it'll be difficult for the CTs to retake this. Auto sniper coming around the corner, somehow escapes with his life back down to CT spawn, but now Sven, watching the flank, has to make sure Grubby, who has jumped up from Xbox, doesn't get this map control. They need to hold on to the after plant position that they planted for, but Furlan finding frags, as does Grubby, until Genius respond quickly. 3 kills going their way. That is it. Round number 8. And the scary thing here is that AGG still don't have a response. We are halfway through the T side of Genius, and not a single response found by the Polish side. So the Oppie Sven will be pounding shots through the metal doors of mid. Grubby already dropped down to 18 points of health, but the scout behind the door, Furlan, also hit. 2 shots landed, both through the wall, both on the scout players, because we do see another forced buy from AGG. They've got those 2 scouts and 3 upgraded pistols. Instance finding the opening frag. Hyper, though, gets a bit of footing over towards long as he takes off the head of Hueka, close range with the CZ, but Sven, he's blind for just a second. It will not be enough. Hyper, in an attempt to retrieve the weapon, does go down. This leaves the last 2 lit players. Of course, they were tagged by that op shot through the mid doors. They're now the last men standing. Each of them with a scout, each of them under 20 health, each of them on separate sides of the map. Furlan going for the cheeky spot, trying to hide in the fire, but he is easily caught out by Sven. And just like that, in a matter of seconds, he is dispatched. The defense on A is dropped. Sven finishing the work he started off, finds those last two players that he himself had tagged, and now it is Genius, one away from double digits. 16-0 incoming? That is the question. I may have just jinxed it, but for the time being, AGG still no response. It'll be Pete with the AWP in this case. He does only have body armor, but that won't matter considering the AKs of Genius rip through skulls nonetheless. Plenty of utility this time. Now that's what I like to see. Of course, there is only 4 rifles on the side of AGG, but at the very least, they have all the tools they need. The more important tools, in my opinion. Smokes, flashes, the quintessential grenades that can help you in the long run. And as Pete does find that opening pick in the round, everybody on the side of AGG will rotate back, take some more defensive positionings, and this is going to allow Genius to now play their cards. They have to find out where exactly they should hit, figure out the positioning of the counter-terrorist side. If they're lucky, they'll be able to find a frag to trade things back, but they have to be cautious because Hyper, already pushed up into the doors of Long, is near that bomb, and it's going to have to be picked up. Instance the player to go retrieve it, but he's all on his lonesome. Now Jax does get aggressive in mid, and he finds a frag, but it's traded. Furlan and Rollin had that crossfire set, and it works out to the advantage of AGG. And there it is, Mad to drop as well. So suddenly, it is Genius now on the back foot. 2 versus 4. They have that bomb. They're both heading up catwalks, but they're dealt with swiftly. Pete with the flick shot, finding the first. Hueca down. Instance still remains as he drops into CT spawn, and he is quickly dispatched. Sven does not come out on top of that op duel. Finally, he loses one. He loses the footing that he seemed to be able to grab time and time again. And yet now, it is the T's, again at the disadvantage. Now, this doesn't happen. They always find that first frag, but this time, it is them on the back foot. Hueca goes huge, though, pushes through the doors, and Rollin doesn't trade. How does that happen? He had an entire magazine to spray. He misses the shot, and now it's the CTs on the back foot. All of a sudden, Genius come back barreling into this one in a round that they were at a disadvantage. Hyper gets aggressive on Long, though. That does trade things back into the 3 versus 3. So damage control has been effectively implemented. The one taps, though. Mad, what a disgusting shot. That is sick. Now the bomb planted for catwalks means this should be an easy after plant scenario. Mad will just hold the line on Long. The smoke grenade will prevent Grubby from pushing through unless he does so blind, which would be difficult. Of course, Mad holding behind the boxes here, just sitting in the dark corner and waiting for the defuse tap to come through. Jax as well, just patiently waiting here as AGG are going to have to synchronize this. They want to come from the same direction, but the flashbang won't be enough. Mad peeks wide, finds his frag. Jack does the same. 10-1 is our score, and as soon as AGG find themselves one round, they are reset. Plenty of weaponry on the side of the Frenchman here. Again, the AWP in the hands of Sven. AKs all across the board. It's going to be Grubby trying to hold B all on his lonesome. Unfortunately for him, there is an armada of terrorists heading his way. And it's going to start off with his brains splattered on the back of the site. Instance finding the first and the second now. 3v5. CTs come flying through the door, though, off the back of that flashbang, just trying to catch the T's off guard. They do for just a second, and it's not long enough to find themselves anything. Besides Furlan now, who comes in, gets a kill. Bomb, still not planted, but now Instance won't be challenged. He'll be able to punch the numbers into the device. It is activated here on the B site, and it's up to Pete, the last man standing with a P250 in hand, to at the very least try to find some frags. Hueca and Jax just collapsing upon that last defensive player. Catch him off guard and catch him squeezed between the two. simple cleanup for the side of Genius. They do, of course, sit currently with a 10-point lead. AGG with all but one. Now, you know, I discussed it a little bit before the map started. This map can be considered T-side, and some teams do find a success on the offensive side of the map, but I can guarantee you it's never supposed to be this one-sided. 11-1 is just a phenomenal scoreline for Genius to start off with here, and their CT side should be just as well of an oiled machine. Now, Furlan is the only player sitting here over towards A. He has been dealt with. Jax single-handedly can opening on that mid area, finding 2 frags, putting AGG at the disadvantage until Rollin trades things back. Now it's tied out to 3 versus 3, but again, it's planted for catwalks, and Genius just have this after plant positioning on lockdown. We see them utilize it every time they plant A. They plant it for this side of the map, and then just never seem to lose that stairwell. They lock it out. Quaka in CT spawn, he's just going to be the helping hand, finding frags, finding flanks. It's all down to Pete, who will save this op. He knows he has no chance of winning, might as well just go ahead and try and save, but he will be pressured for the time being by Instance, who tries to close the distance. He's now pushed back up into long, so heading back to the site, he's just going to try to save here, but again, will it be enough this late in the half? Even if AGG managed to find a couple more rounds, the best they can get is a 12-3 half. PD, my boy, starting things off strong with a pick onto Sven. Again, losing these op duels. Now, at the beginning of this half, he was completely dominant. Couldn't even challenge him, but now he keeps slipping time and time again, at least here or there. Luckily for the Frenchman, Jax does trade things back. Still maintains that one-man advantage, 4v3 favoring Genius, but they don't have an opper now. And yet, there's still 2 scoped weapons on the CT side. Grubby, he's reduced down to the scout. But the op in the hands of Pete has already found success early in this one, looking for some more. But the bomb is working its way towards long, and the T side is split. 2 players on each side of the map. Grubby with the scout is going to find one. Of course, Hyper with the assist there. Jax was lit, and he's caught on the cross. Down he goes. Out of the picture. Furlan trying to push will also lose his life. Mad doing great work here, putting down damage as the bomb is planted on A. Quaka to smoke off CT spawn. Now this is going to cause the rotation from AGG to either go up catwalk or be burning down the clock, because coming through CT spawn would have to be a delayed process. And now the fire even delays catwalk. So Grubby may have gone to cat because he thought it would be faster. Now he realizes he's made a mistake. My lord. Grubby and Pete, they're going to save. Trying to save this one off into 15. At the very least, you've got to give it to AGG. They're trying their best to do what they can. They're going to save and try to get 2. Not that I think it'll be enough, but it is better than 1. That's how math works. They lose it in the end, though. Pete dropped just as the round comes to a close. Genius 13, AGG 1. This is a hell of a blowout on the CT side of the Polish squad. Questionable decision to start on the T side proves fruitful. Genius, absolute domination here on Dust 2. Now that early aggression from Jax over towards long will be shut down quickly. 3 players on the defensive side there to greet him, to meet him, to destroy him. In that case, as he does try to round out the corner. Sven working his way up cat with the op. He's the point man to trade things back now. So the advantage that AGG had found has been neutralized. 4 versus 4. 3 ops in play on the side of Genius. 1 AK in the hands of Instance. Now, MDC, Mad, is trying to close the corner over towards long, but Hyper is waiting. Sven with another pick. So every time his teammate dies, it's up to Sven to find the trade. He's done it twice. He'll have to do it maybe 2 more times here, depending on the outcome of the trades. Now, bomb has been retrieved, and he's swapped out to an AK. 2 rifles, 1 op, working their way towards the B site. They're going to find Grubby all on his lonesome, working from the window, finding frags. He gets the first onto Sven, second on the Instance, and now it's the 1v2. Hueka does find the frag, and he's going to be trying to go for the plant here. There's nobody close enough to stop him, so it will be an after plant retake scenario. The big question is, though, do AGG play this accordingly? Do they trade properly? They're waiting right now patiently for the window peak, but it's not going to be coming their way. Hueka taking a defensive stance over towards Tons, just waiting. Now, we look at the utility on the side of both teams. Hueka has a single flash. 2 flashes for the Polish side with a Molotov. They could theoretically, once they figure out where he is, burn him out. But the big kicker is that Furlan has a kit and Hyper doesn't. Not that that's going to matter. Furlan finding the frag through the edges of the box. There it is. AGG find their second, and the first half comes to a close with an absolute dominant performance on the side of Genius. Pistol round has a lot weighing on it. Now, I know that is a common saying among commentators, but this time I mean it. If AGG lose this pistol, they're already out of this game. There's no doubt in my mind. And they're coming forward long, aggressively. All three of the players lit. 2 still at 100 points of health. Rollin sitting here watching for the flank now, but it will be the retake by Genius. Caught off guard by the barrel peak. He's going to lay down some damage of his own. And it seems as though AGG may not be out of this just yet. Flashbangs preventing the rotate for the time being. They do have a kit in the hands of Sven, but the frags going the favor of AGG. Team kills coming in there. Instance pops the head of Jack. So 5 players up on AGG's side. That's the pistol round they needed to stay alive. Healthy purchase for the offensive here. 1 AK-47, Galil Scout, SMGs. No 2 players having the same weapons here, but Hueka with a clean flash does find that close range engagement. He gets himself a kill, but it's traded out quickly. Furlan and Hyper, frags of their own. 4v2 now, but the health on Hyper and Rollin is dismal. Dismal. Tongue slips. Only 16 points of health and 25 on Rollin. They're finding more frags, though, even though they're lit. Hyper sitting on 2 off the back of that Galil. But it's Rollin who should be trying to make money here. He has that Mac 10, so put it to use. But he's going to just try and stay alive. Make sure that he doesn't go down. Retrieves the Scout. No, he holds on to the Galil, sorry. He swaps out for the CZ75. And Rollin doesn't pick up the Scout, but hangs on to the Mac 10. Now, I personally would have preferred the scope weapon, but maybe it's going to be Rollin to go aggressive here and try to clean up some easy frags. They need to put him in front. They need to allow him to make money. I mean, if he loses what he has, it's just a Mac 10. Very little to lose, very much to gain. So an aggressive long hit once more coming in from the T side. Jack's in the pit, but the flashbang, that's going to blind up everybody in the open. Mad, not able to land frags fast enough, does find one, but Pete's already here to trade. He gets himself a double. They're going to boost on top of the blue box in order to gain better positioning here. Hyper, he's not sure if pit is clear, but the closer player is Sven, sitting behind the car, dealt with accordingly. 4v2 now for AGG as they begin to push up long and close out towards that A site. Hueka now spotted. He too is dealt with. A quick and easy round by AGG after dodging the difficulties of those flashbangs by the white box. Up in the hand of Rollin here in round number 19. But again, this is Genius's chance to come back. They have the rifles. They have everything they need. They just have to make sure they properly utilize it. Now, one player over towards B, and a heavy emphasis from the defensive side in mid. We've got a player outside the barrels, and the boost on Cat is what will net them their first frag. Sven with the opening pick on that op, finding success here. And now Jax is not expected to be down in tunnels. Very nice play by Genius. Great CT positioning there. The Wombo combo. Done and dusted. 3 players from AGG left over, and they're just trying to reel back from their losses here. They're completely separated. I mean, look at this radar, guys. We have a player in T-spawn, one in pit, car, mid, tons. They are literally surrounded in a 5-point star shape here. Unfortunately, for the side of Genius, it will be Cat that is being pushed, and that means it's up to Sven to hold the line. He does have that op. We've seen him land crazy shots so far here on Dust. No reason he won't be able to do the same thing as they attempt their push. But the smoke grenade will buy them a bit of time. It'll let them out a little bit further, a wider angle to check with the sniper of Sven. He peeks on the ramp and he's taken down. Rollin has the trade, op of his own, but the jumping M4 shot, trying to stop the bomb, whips for the kill instead. Bomb planted, 2v2. 2v1 instance with a clean headshot and a second phenomenal shooting with that M4A4. Instance is the man of the hour, shutting down this round, making the retake possible, and an easy defuse. Genius now 1 away from securing overtime and potentially map 3. AGG going for the win. They're going to full buy back into this one. They are able to afford 3 AKs and the double op setup. So they should play this one slowly. Try to find these opening picks and then use that numbers advantage to their favor, which they do. Pete finding the first kill onto Sven. Down goes the opper from the CT side. Now, unfortunately for Genius, they're actually at a disadvantage, and Hueca completely blasted as he tries to retrieve the weapon of his fallen comrade. Now only 2 players for Genius remaining, Instance being one of them, and he's locking down that B site on his lonesome, just sitting here being a thorn in the side of AGG as they attempt to push on forward. But now he is dealt with. Pete with the flick shot, finding himself another here in round number 20. That's his 3rd of the round. Mad, the last man standing at the top of mid, dealt with accordingly. Rollin lands the shot through the edge of the wall. He doesn't need to take clean shots. He just pounds it through cement walls. Easy peasy, just like that. So AGG bounce back. Now, this is a tough one because they don't have the economy to necessarily go the long haul here. And obviously Genius have to save. So this is a good chance for AGG to win another round, but they don't have to just win it you know, by the skin of their teeth. They need to win this in a convincing manner. They need to be able to afford guns time and time again. So they need to make sure they minimize their losses, because if not, they could very well be going they could be very well fighting the 16th round of Genius off the back of only pistols here. So for the time being, they'll have an easy round. 4 USPs on the side of Genius, 1 Deagle in the hands of Jax. He'll be the man of the hour, looking for some Juan Deags, but for the time being, he'll find nothing because AGG have now pushed their way up long and are prepared to head towards A. The cross is really only where they'll find some difficulties. It's up to Genius now as they stack those mid doors. This should be an easy cross. Jax smoked out, but he finds the headshot onto Grubby. What a kill to start things off. Man advantage for the CT side, but again, they are just so outnumbered when it comes to weaponry. They start pushing up Cat for the retake. It will be smoked off. Utility playing his favor, but the run boost comes through, and Sven actually distracting them long enough to find a frag. Ferlin just couldn't deal with it fast enough, only finds 1. Hyper now going down as well. The shot from Jax securing it, but the bomb is planted for Rollin, and he has that op in a great position on the far back platform of Long, but he goes down as well. Hueca finding the close range kill off the back of the USP, and he spots the player. Genius somehow come back into this game in a round that they had a single upgraded pistol. AGG, what have you done? That is going to be on their minds for a long time, I think. A round like that is something you should never lose. I mean, you have the bomb planted for you in what? The 4v5 after plant scenario? Somehow you let that slip from your fingers and lose the round versus a single Desert Eagle? At the very least, AGG can afford here, and they do find some early advantages into the 4v3, but again, Genius should not be on 15th round. They're now looking for victory. AGG will have to win 9 in a row here if they want to close this game into overtime. If not, it's going to Nuke. It is our third map, of course. Hyper finding a bit more success over here towards A. Bombs, though, still not planted. They need to retrieve it. It's almost in the open, but he'll grab it with ease now. Rollin missing shots on mid. That's going to allow Instance to at least try and engage, but he does go down relatively quickly before Sven trades things through the edge of the smoke. Now, Op in the hands of Sven, the last man standing, falling back towards B. He should definitely, in this case, just hold on to it, let the economy build on the CT side, and then just easily come back into this game once AGG make a mistake. Sven hangs on. Keeps that op now, coming into round number 23. That's the only rifle that Genius will have on this round. I highly doubt they're going to go for the force buy. I think they're smarter than this. They'll just buy a couple of pistols, get a few tools to try and work with, allow their economy to build, and then come back into this game on all cylinders. Meanwhile, though, AGG will have all the tools they need. Again, the double op setup on the T side this time of Dust. Grubby, he gets himself out long, but he's splashed for the time being. Player in pit to find the kill. Sven, he drops, though, very so quickly to the trade of Hyper. And now, it's Mad, stuck in the pit, all on his lonesome. He does have a deagle, which is dangerous. We've seen it have impact before. And now Hueca retrieves the op and finds the kill as well. That is icing on the cake. Whipped cream on the pudding. There's another. Makes it look easy. Hueca comes through with that P250, and suddenly AGG, again, in a round they have no business losing, find themselves at the disadvantage. 4v2. They've got an op and an AK to work with, but what more can they do? They are outgunned, and now the op is dropped. Instance coming through, damaging enough for Jax to finish it off. 2 rounds, these ones here, number 21 and 23. Genius had no reason to win those, but somehow they do. So props to them. Props to the Frenchman to bring this series into a close one. It is now tied 1-1, gentlemen. And as you can see on your screens, we're heading to Nuke. This should be interesting. Again, I want to bring this up. For those of you guys who weren't here earlier, I brought this up 1 month ago. For the DreamHack Summer Closed Qualifier, there was a best of 3 between these two teams, between beGenius and AGG. The exact same maps were played, in the exact same order, and we are now with the exact same result as that time. However, the third map ended in overtime. So this essentially comes down to, this series in itself comes down to whoever has improved the most on Nuke since then, or whoever starts on the favorable side, whoever feels more comfortable here in the third map. Again, last time the final score was AGG 19, Genius 16. So will history repeat itself? Only time will tell. And talking about time, we'll have to take a short break to give these players time to reset themselves mentally. I'm sure AGG are frustrated and want to discuss some mistakes they made. So again, don't go too far, gents. The action will continue. I am Scrawny, and this is the Hitbox Challenger Cup number 2. And so, gentlemen, I welcome you back one last time today. It is the last game of the Hitbox Challenger Cup, and it's going to be Nuke to start things off here. Or to close things off, rather, I suppose. The knife going on the side of Hoika and Genius mean they're staying on CT. AGG tasked with the T side. Now again, for anybody who's just tuning in, these teams faced off on Nuke in a best-of-3 1 month ago. It went to overtime. Let's see if either of these teams have practiced and improved, or maybe they both have improved, and we'll go to overtime again. Only time will tell as we start off into the pistol. Now, apologies if I misread some radar play, gentlemen. This map is incredibly complicated with its verticality. Lots of levels to deal with, and a very laggy server to start things off here. Alright, hold on. Seems to have fixed itself towards the end of that one. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know if it was laggy for you, but I was a little stuttery there. So, Genius, find the pistol. Quite quickly at that as well. I mean, all those kills happening in like under 20 seconds. As soon as the first frag happened, boom, the last frag happened as well. So, Genius cleaning it up quickly, dealing with AGG's aggression on the inside. Now, historically speaking, we're obviously dealing with one of the most CT-sided maps of all time. That's why it was taken out of the rotation. That's why it was fixed. Valve, and now here we are with the new and improved Nuke to deal with and try to feel out. Now, a lot of teams can say that this map has now gone in the complete opposite direction, and that T side is now very heavily favored. Clearly, for the time being, Genius making quick work of the Ts say otherwise. But again, once we get into the rifles, it's interesting to see how these teams will use the outside. I would say the biggest addition to the map has been the catwalk area that wraps around all the way to heaven. That change in and of itself allows a lot much more diversity outside, and it makes outside very difficult to hold for the CTs. So you have two approaches: either commit a whole bunch of your defensive players to that side of the map, or just give up control of it and let them have the power outside, wait for them to come enter into the site, and then deal with them then. Last player is Rollin. He's still working away on the site, but he'll be dealt with accordingly. So, done deal. Now, another thing that the Ts can do on their side quite easily is go for that very quick push into squeaky doors down the vent. Now, there used to be 2 vents. So what the CTs could do as a response was drop in the second one and catch you at the bottom of the ladder. Now, that happened all the time when there was 2 vent entrances and exits. Now, however, that's changed. With only 1 entrance, it's made much more easier for the Ts to get themselves inside that door and down into the basement. It's also more difficult for the CTs to stop them because they've made changes to the rafters on the top part of A. That issue, or rather that becomes an issue in the sense that it's much more difficult to get above the door and then just look downwards at your feet and easily spray any Ts who come out, because obviously as a terrorist it's very awkward to run up looking at the ceiling. But that's been dealt with because now you can't go past the halfway mark. So there's very much changes to the side of T that allow for much more aggressive play both outside and on the A site. Over here towards ramp, I'd say the biggest change is that corner box. You see it now on Jack's screen, sitting next to the entrance from the trophy room. It allows you to boost up as a CT, and you can literally just sit there. Much like the Shroud boost on Cache A site, this now does the same thing on ramp here for Nuke. But Matt and Sven starting things off again strongly here. We are, of course, just dealing with the pistols on the side of AGG, so these rounds shouldn't be close in any way whatsoever. Instance doing quick work, dropping Pete, and now Hyper has the bomb, and he's actually made it down to the B site. He starts punching in the numbers, and he'll be able to find that plant safely behind the pillar here. So MP9 finds the final frag, and the defuse comes through, but at least a bomb plant to cushion the purchase of round 4, which AGG will use to find some rifles and potentially some success. Hueca using that molly to push down the push. We're going to have the T side feeling things quickly, but look at this aggression from BeGenius. So quickly they're catching people off guard. That push into the trophy room from 2 nets them 2 frags, but then they fall back quickly. Now, Ferlin does do a bit of damage control, finding that 1 kill onto Hueca, who attempts to come through hut. But again, now this is going to lend itself to a push outside. This catwalk, the one that I was mentioning, is so useful. They have to be cautious here. The CT is not currently watching it. They are nearby, but don't currently have eyes on the outdoor portion. So now, Hyper trying to close the distance here, trying to get within range of a headshot, making it simple. But again, he'll have to come out on top. He comes around the corner, does exactly that. Instance to go down. 3 versus 3 is the body count, but AGG is so lit right now. 1 player at 7, Ferlin at 1, and Hyper is dealt with. So Pete at 100 points of health now, the last man standing, does find some trade frags, but that's all he'll get. Only 1 onto Mad, who then is traded by Sven. So Genius minimizing their losses. 2 players survive that round, and they still have 4. AGG not able to find a response as of yet. They're going to have to go back down to a pistol round before they find themselves on the AKs again. So a good opportunity to make some bank, and Sven realizes it. He's going to be looking to capitalize on this opportunity, trying to make some money with that MP9. I'd like to see him try and get aggressive because, again, if he dies, all he loses is a very weak SMG that won't do much against his teammates. Of course, they all have armor, so Hueca, in the meantime, just playing outside, watching that aggressive catwalk push, does find a single frag, and Instance now working the edges of blue box. Flash high, finding himself a kill. Nice usage of the flashbang to find Pete off guard. Down he goes. 3v5 now for AGG, already finding themselves at the 2-man disadvantage early here in round number 5. But they've worked their way down secret, and that's decent because they can at least start heading towards the B site. But again, it is being watched. They've opened the squeaky doors. That's going to tell everybody where they are. Rollin breaking vents also gives away his position. He tries to change it up. Tight angle. That lends itself to the Tech 9 greatly. Hueca on the site, though, does take down the bomb planter, which means it's down to Grubby and Rollin in the afterplant scenario. 40 seconds for Genius to retake, but Rollin's making it tricky, taking these vent controls by storm, using that Tech 9 in the close range engagement. Grubby with a pistol kill of his own. All of a sudden, it's the 1v1. An Instance caught looking the wrong direction. AGG finding footing in a round they had no business winning. 1-4 now as we hit round 6. AGG finding one early, and now they're on to rifles in a very healthy buy. Now, do they change things up? Do they try to get aggressive the same way Genius did? Rollin wants to. Starts feeling things out with a bit of a spray over towards ramp, trying to land shots through that smoke, but nothing for the time being. Hueca, however, he is looking to do the same. So, again, both players from both separate teams trying to get this early advantage. Players making some moves, showing their hands, revealing their cards, so to speak. Again, this is a full buy. There's a lot weighing on this round. We have the economy of the T's in shambles after this purchase, other than Rollin, who sits above 5. So he'll be able to maybe drop some pistols or potentially be the op buyer in the following purchase round. But again, this one is crucial. This round decides who takes early momentum here on the first half. Now, ramp control becomes a bit of a possibility here. Still 2 players from AGG over there, while 3 go outdoors, down into mini. But the op shot from Sven in the garage will stop things, at least for a second. Pete does find the trade, and now Hueca, he did shoot, so he's revealed his location. They know where he is. He's going to have to find himself a frag, but Hyper coming around the side, he's going to be above and beyond, finding the frag onto Jax. Now this starts isolating the CTs here, but Instance and Matt and Hueca, everyone chiming in to shut that down. All of a sudden, from the 4 versus 3 to the 3 versus 0. Genius bounce right back into this game, finding themselves another rifle round, and now AGG are tasked with a difficult decision. Rollin does have 6.6 thousand, but the rest of his team in no condition to buy, so he's going to grab up an AK-47 armor, purchase for himself, equalize his amount of money, and that makes him a very useful player to try and start things off. But again, he needs to be the can opener in this situation. He needs to pop open the lid, which makes sense here because he is the first man out, but he's also the first man to die as Mad lines them up and sprays them down. 1 mag, 3 frags. Sven doing work as Jax cleans it up. An easy round from Genius, done in all but 30 seconds and not a single kill for AGG. Now that was a pistol round for the most part, so they weren't expecting to do much. Back into the rifles here on round number 8. A scout on Pete, though. That's quite limiting. But Instance, what a shot to land. Just over the edge of the Twinkie, finding the headshot. That's clean. Takes him down, and then obviously we see him here falling back in towards Secret. So he finds an opening frag for Genius to work with, and then is able to retreat safely to safety. This means now that the CT sides can just sit on that man advantage. The terrorists will have to close the distance. They're going to have to try and take the initiative, but Hueka's landing frags through that smoke. He too retreats off the pick of his frag. He knows the T's are going to try to trade him on his retreat. He engages once more, but that flashbang will secure him as he falls back to the basement. Now, CT's rotating in as well. They know they've given up ramp control, but Pete has snuck his way through heaven using that outdoor catwalk, finds himself 1. This now means that the A site is open for the bomb to work towards. And because the players on that site rotated down towards B to help out Instance as he fell back, Hueka as he fell back, there's nobody on A to stop it. So the plant has happened. The plant is for the back of the site, not for Mini. CT's having to retake from some awkward angles, including the vent. Sven just sitting here waiting for his team to start things off before he comes flying upwards. Hueka from Hut finds 2. Looks for the third last player behind the vent. Jax now the 1v1. He comes out on top. Genius will extend their lead here 7-1. The defuse will be made easy. Of course, the kit leaves him with plenty of time. AGG find a plant in the end, but it's not enough. They don't cut it. No success for them. 1-7. Again, this is looking scary. Genius halfway now through this first half have all but 1 round. Flashbacks, gentlemen. Flashbacks to Mirage, I think. I feel it once more. Wait, Mirage, what am I talking about? That was a whole other best of 3. My brain is fried. We've done too many games today. I can't handle all of this exciting Counter-Strike. I'm mixing things up. But what I'm not confused about is Sven's ability to find opening frags. Again, just like on Dust 2, he finds those first op shots, takes that numbers advantage for AGG, and now Hyper, good push, somehow closes the distance all the way outside, gets himself into the big garage, and finds the frag. Now, Genius at the man disadvantage. Now, of course, Ferlin and Grubby do only have pistols to work with here. Tech 9 and a P250, so it is upgraded, but still, those aren't primaries. They won't be able to engage from long distances, and they have a minute to work with here. They're going to have to fall back, retrieve that bomb, and then figure out which way they want to head. Now, Hyper has 2 frags into this one, so he's the only man who's making this a possibility for AGG at the time. He's going to have to find more in order to secure a second, but Hueka is in such a good position. If he is patient enough and just holds on, if he doesn't peek into the crosshairs of his opponents, he may be able to line this up and grab a double. Here's the peek. He lines them up and does just that. Huge play by Hueka, but a good trade by Rollin. Up on the catwalks outside heaven, finding a frag and taking it back to the 2v2. Both players on both teams spread out. This is awkward. Coming in from multiple directions. It's just a matter of whoever finds the angle. 20 seconds on the clock. Bomb still in hell. Has to work its way. It only has the chance of going up to heaven and towards the A site, so they need to know that's where it is. And now Jax will have confirmation. The smoke blocking off his sight. He needs to come out the door, but he finds the angle onto Rollin as the bomb is planted, and there's the second. Genius barreling back into this one. 8-1, making these rounds scary, making them seem close, but it is Genius to stay on top. Now this round is one that AGG should be able to come into. They've lost so many in a row now that they have this economy advantage. They do afford 2 ops. So again, I don't think this is necessarily just... I think this is something that is just a part of AGG's playstyle. The double op setup. We saw it on Train. To me, that makes sense. We saw it on Dust. I don't agree with that. And I guess, you know, it didn't pay off considering they lost so terribly. But here on Nuke, they're trying it again. Same players as well. Hyper and Pete. Sometimes it's Rollin, actually, so I guess it does depend on the position, but they do like that double AWP setup. And it worked out well here. They found 2 opening picks, not a single frag yet for the side of Genius. The Frenchman left hanging here in round number 10. Frags aplenty for the side of AGG. It is Hueca now, the last man standing, sitting on top of Hut. He will have to make his move here. He does have a rifle, so look for some frags. Make this costly, because he knows that this win will reset the economy of AGG. They will no longer have a round loss bonus. So if he can just make it as costly as possible, that's really what he should be looking for here late in round number 10. Easy cleanup on the side of Hyper. 1 player drops, that's Rollin. But again, nothing else costing the side of the Polish squad. They rebuy into ops. They've got 2, or sorry, they hold on to their 2 ops, so they don't have to rebuy into it, but they do grab themselves another AK. That's all they lost. Now, the CT side, this is incredible. After winning 4 in a row, they lose 1, and already their economy is quite difficult. We see a Mag 7 on Hueca. This makes sense. Nuke is one of the maps that you can play a shotgun on. I'm okay with that. What is unfortunate is the amount of utility that they are lacking. We've got Instants with double flash, Jax and Hueca with nothing but 1 flash between the 2 of them. So not enough smokes here, I think, to play the long game. I would like to see the CTs try and take an initiative, and it might just be Hueca to peek wide here. If he can get the kill on Grubby, there it is, the opening frag. That's what they need to start. 3 players now for AGG, playing that outside bomb down in lobby. Oh, if Hueca were to push, he could definitely gain this information. He could gain the knowledge that they have to rotate back, try to play that bomb control, but now the player's spotted outside. Very passive angle by Instance. He's almost still in CT spawn, and Hueca grabs a second with that Mag 7. Now Hyper, he too will drop. He comes around the edge of the smoke, but the timing just does not work out in his favor. He still has 14 points of health, but he is lit, no doubt. Furlan, the second T side still remaining. He is the bomb carrier, and he's waiting out towards the roof of lobby. So Hyper trying to find some picks here, but there's so many angles to clear. He manages to find the leg shot onto Instance, takes him down to 16, but now Sven on the flank should be able to easily clean this up. He does just that. 1v5. Not long for this world. Furlan dropped and dealt with. 9-2 is our score, and AGG have to start to worry here because this is all they can afford. I'd like to see how AGG try to change things up here. They're going a bit aggressively. Sven does find a frag onto Rollin, but I don't think he expected Furlan to be so close, so the trade does comes through. Now that's going to favor AGG. Always the advantage goes to the terrorists when you are at the equal body count. Maybe not so much when it is 5-5, but 4 versus 4, always the T side have the upper hand, and especially when nobody's lit. They find that second frag. Hueca trying to take an initiative, trying to find some ground, but instead he finds a bullet to the brain, and he is dealt with quite effectively. So Genius now on the back foot. Man disadvantage with a minute still left to work with. Furlan, the patience pays off. He waits for the peek from Instance, gets that frag, and now they're outnumbered 2-1 on the CT side. Still, again, a minute to work with. AGG taking this one slowly, which makes a lot of sense. They don't want this to be costly. They need to hang on to as many weapons as possible, which is what Genius are trying to prevent. 40 seconds now, still to work with. Bomb seems like it's heading towards B, as Pete has now worked his way in secret. it will be a multiple direction attack here towards the B site with the bomb in hand. But Jax tries to bring it back before he does go down. Pete finding the frag over the edge of the stairwell. And again, just players being caught off guard. That's 2 now, looking the wrong direction for Genius in round number 12. That's what really costs them, and that explains why AGG are starting to come back into this. Now, there's 3 rounds left in the half. If Genius buy this one, they won't, if they buy now and lose, they won't be able to afford in the following. So they're going to go for the light buy here. We see a Mag 7 on Hueka. He spends down to match the economy of that of his teammates. We saw the same thing happen from AGG earlier, but that case they had an AK. This time, all they have is a shotgun to work with and a kit. That is a notable difference. If somehow they manage to bring it back into the retake situation and they need that extra second to defuse, the kit could become very valuable here. But Furlan going aggressive over towards ramp, finding that opening kill. Hueka dealt with early. Now that's the Mag 7 already out of the picture, and there's no CTs nearby to try and retrieve it. So the bomb easily working its way down towards B. This should be a simple plant and win for AGG. Now again, we've seen them lose some pretty incredible rounds, so that will have to be avoided, but time will tell as the numbers are punched into the bomb, and it's a retake now. 40 seconds on the B site. Rollins going to be finding frags here. They're just trying to limit their losses, but Rollins finds 2 before being dropped. Mad has retrieved the Mag 7, and he's finding headshots with it. He's the last man standing. Grubby has to be cautious. He will, just long enough before he finds the headshot. He is incredibly lit, though, only 13 points of health, so they minimize losses by keeping 3 players alive and grabbing that AWP, but still a costly round nonetheless. Have to refill up on 2. Genius able to buy back into this one. They're going to have a Mag 7 again in the hands of Hueka, and Sven, the glass cannon, has that op, but no armor, only a smoke, and that is the limitation once more on the side of the CTs. Not too many nades to work with here. Instance only has flashes, Sven only has 1 smoke, and Jax has absolutely nothing. Mad, the sole kit holder here in round number 14, looking to close things out, but Sven has another idea, finds that opening pick, and gets the man advantage for the CT side. With 1.5 minutes, Hyper has already made his way in secret. Now, he could wreak havoc here if he were able to flank, but unfortunately for him, Hueka arrives at the same time and finds the headshot with the Mag 7, retrieves the AK as Jax finds a rifle kill on the opposite side of the map, and suddenly, just like that, AGG are down to 2, outnumbered by the full forces of the CT side. Genius doing great work to stay in this game. Grubby finding 1 does open things up a little bit towards that ramp. Of course, he is the bomb carrier, and his teammate is nearby, so these 2 players have to work together if they want to find victory here in round number 14. But Genius, ever so patiently, just waiting. They know that the terrorists have to come to them, and so they don't want to make mistakes by peeking preemptively. So just a matter of time here before AGG have to reveal themselves to be down towards the B site. Hueka spots it through the vents, starts the engagement. Now there is a player sitting in the dark corner. He will become instrumental as the bomb now becomes planted in the edge of the smoke. They don't find the kill. Instance gets Furlan though in the meantime. Grubby now, he was the bomb planter, finds 1 before he too is dealt with. The bomb will be defused before the smoke even disappears. And there it is, AGG falling. Genius on their 10th with 1 round left in the first half of Nuke. Pete with the opening pick. That's huge. That's exactly the start they needed, but Sven trades it back, so he's doing the damage control and a good job at that. Hueka dancing around Squeaky. He has to be cautious here. There are players all around. And this round, this last round of the first half, could mean so much. It could be the difference between victory and loss when it comes down to it. So it's just a matter of time before we're left with a result. But both teams starting off on the strong foot, finding those op picks. And here it is now. Jax with the aggression again in Trophy Room. He's done this 2 or 3 rounds now, and he's successfully done it time and time again, as Hueka does the same over towards Squeaky, finding a headshot of his own and reducing AGG down to 2. Now, they do have grenades. They can smoke things off. They can try to get themselves down into the B. I think that's what Furlan's trying to do here, as he is next to Squeaky. But he'll have to be cautious because the vents are a bit further away from him. He needs to find the timing correctly to sprint into it. If not, Hueka waiting here is going to spot his legs. He does just that. Taken down to 4 points of health. Hueka tries to trade the frags back. Jax now has to be cautious. There's a player in the vent, and he's caught looking the wrong direction. That's the bomb now on the site. Rollin working his way forward here. He's caught, but he will be killed as he attempts to go down the ladder. Now the 2v1 for Genius. They are favored, but they have to work together. They're coming in from opposing directions, which is good, so they know where he is. He has to be inside the decontamination room, and they know exactly that. But with the Molotov fading, this gives him the chance to reposition, and nobody's watching the vent. No way Furlan could do this. He peeks out wide. He almost stops the bomb plant, but Mad gets wind of what's happening, finds the final frag, and Genius finish their CT side with 11 rounds. AGG, they need the pistol. They need to come back into the game, but they're going to have to start quickly because that is a momentous lead to catch up to. There is a lot weighing on this pistol. I'm excited to see how Genius do this. Normally we see them going for tactical pistol rounds with lots of smokes and flashes, but this time they pick up 5 sets of Kevlar, and they're all starting to push up towards the top of ramp. Hueka here is distracting at the vents. That's going to cause the rotation from A to be slowed down for at least a little bit, but now the player's starting to drop. They understand what's happening. It is the B hit. It will be the B plant. Unless Sven is caught out with that bomb not on the site. Here is Pete on the flank doing just that. Finding the 2 headshots, shutting down those players. Hueka now in the 1v3. AGG are not out of this game just yet. They're finding success here on Nuke, on their CT side. And again, they needed to. They didn't have the choice. It was either lose this game or win this pistol as far as I'm concerned. And it's only a matter of time before they melt Hueka down. There it is, the final shot. Pete with a 3K in the pistol. That is a strong start that his team needed. Way to pick up the pants and lead the team to victory. 5 rounds for AGG. They're still down by 6, but they've got SMGs, they've got rifles, they have the tools they need to shut it down early. But will Genius come back off the back of the Armor Tech 9 buy? It would be heartbreaking for the Polish squad if they were to lose this round. But the problem is those SMGs not the best for dealing with Armor Tech 9 pushes. The Molotov, though, will burn down these players. They're closing the distance onto the A site. Rollin with a 3K. A single mag on that MP9, getting 3. Clean spray control. That's phenomenal stuff there. Good job on Rollin to hold the A site. Shuts down that push in a matter of seconds. Genius. They still have their lead, but they have to understand that it is dwindling. Slowly, round by round, they are getting closer to a tied game. Now, they're going to have to bite the bullet and deal with the Glocks, but I like that they only buy 1 smoke here. They're really making sure that when they have the rifles, they'll get everything they need. Now, heavy presence by AGG outside to start things off. Pete with a headshot, Furlan with the second. Jax drops as he tries to cross. Now 3v5, quickly barreling out in towards A. They were trying to bring the bomb down to the B site. They were doing that quick squeaky to B play that I had brought up earlier, but it does not pay off in their favor again. AGG with another round, closing that gap quickly. And it seems as though just a couple seconds ago we were in the pistol. We're already in the first buy round, gentlemen. Here it is, the meat of today's segment. Another best of 3 coming down to the 3rd map. It's been one hell of a day of Counter-Strike, and I would not have wanted to end it any other way. Genius have their weapons. AGG have theirs, but they chose not to upgrade. Hanging on to that UMP, Grubby on the FAMAS. This could cost them, but at the very least, they do have a utility advantage. Plenty of grenades, while Genius are limited. A very slow round here. Neither team want to give up that first frag. Obviously, it's just such a momentous event. If you go down, man down early in a round, then it's just so easy for the opposing side to capitalize on that, unless you somehow, by a stroke of luck, manage to equalize things. So for the time being, it's still just everybody waiting patiently, trying to hold angles until Hyper tries to get something done off the back of that flashbang, but Jax reads it like a book. Finds that opening frag. Now it's Genius to close this out. They do have that man advantage. They're working down towards B. An instance with the long range AK frag onto Grubby. Furlan holds the line, however. He's down to 5 points of health, but he has stopped this secret push, and he gets the second, and he could get the third. Sven pushing forward as he reloads. Sven caught off guard. There's now 3 CTs here, and down he goes. Jax trading back. Furlan now in the 2v2. It's Pete and Rollin versus Jax and Hueka. Jax is so lit though, and he doesn't find the kill. Rollin gets it. Pete in control room now. What a awkward positioning by Hueka. He's actually outside the double doors. That's a very weird spot to be in, and now he's been spotted. They see exactly where he is. What an easy cleanup for the CT side. AGG are in this game, picking up the first rifle after going down to the man disadvantage. But no! Why didn't Pete grab the AWP? There was an op down outside vent right in front of him, and he stops moving to look at the ceiling. An op is so valuable here on Nuke CT side. You need that op to hold the outside. You need the op to hold ramp even. But instead of picking it up, he just gets distracted. That's... oh, that could come back to bite them in the ass. They have to be cautious here coming into this next one. They do have 5 rifles, yet again, plenty of utility, and 3 kits. So they do have the tools they need, but Hueka again finding Genius that opening frag. It wasn't Jax, but Hueka this time. Still, it is the T side to go up 5v4. This is Genius's chance. But again, it's traded back almost immediately by the side of AGG. This time Hyper locking down ramp gets the best of Jax here. We saw in the previous round it be vice versa. But now it's the CTs to take that control. Again, nice and slow here. Everybody waiting cautiously, not wanting to make mistakes as the time ticks down. A minute on the clock, and the bomb's still outside of Twinkie. Means that for the time being, Genius just trying to play control of the map here. Engagement on the outside rafters. Nobody, though, for the CT side is out here other than the player working heaven. That is Grubby, and Grubby's now down. Mad landing the shot, but the secret flank comes through, and it will be traded effectively. Now 3v2. Genius get that man advantage back in their control, and all they have to do is stick together. With 40 seconds on the clock, they need to hit a site, plant the bomb, and hold on for dear life, because it's Hyper and Rollin in the 2v3 clutch. That smoke grenade will filter off Rollin, but he's still on the other side of the smoke here. He's close, but not close enough. He doesn't have the vision as the bomb is now planted. Instance watching the bottom of the ladder will find that opening frag. Rollin now in the 1v3. His odds are abysmal. But if he can find the opening frag, that's a start. Mad, though, sitting behind the boxes. He will escape with his life for the time being. This is a chance for Rollin to fall back if he wants to save that AK. Now is his chance to reposition. He's actually going to be coming through hut here, but he has to be cautious because he'll have to cross the window, which Hueka is now holding. So does Rollin go for exits, or does he believe in his chances? He's getting closer, and he's spotted. There it is, the wallbang. Not finishing him off, but he's ever so lit. He'll actually fall back, and he'll be able to save here. So he escapes with 13 points of health and an AK-47. Coming into round number 21. That will be worth quite a bit here. The economy on the side of the CTs, healthy enough to afford a purchase, I believe. Rollin should be able to drop one. His 2 other teammates will be limited, but again, they have at least the most valuable tools. Now, we can see the economy of AGG is now limited. Pete sitting at 3,000. Rollin has 4.1, but on the opposing side, the T's down to 1.5 maximum on 2 of their players. So this round is going to be the decider, I think. in who takes that early economic momentum, and Genius could use it to close out the game. AGG could use it to tie. This is a valuable event here. Either team need to make sure that if they win it strong, and if they lose, they make it close, because the economy is starting to have a factor on every single round here. We're in the last 10 of the last map. Rollin, he's almost caught with that smoke in hand, but he does escape with his life, gets back onto the site, closes the door behind him, but Instance from the vent, and the wallbang kill onto Rollin. That is a strong start, getting those two. Oh lord, what a one tap. Mad finding the shot. Furlan from the bottom of the vents, though he does trade things back, getting 2 kills of his own to take it back to the 2v3. Now Genius have that man advantage, but they're going to have to be cautious because it could very equally be equalized. Very easily be equalized. Furlan, he's on the bomb. He pops the smoke, but that's going to cause Jax to peek, and he peeks out to his demise. Mad, though, has the angle through the smoke, and now it's a matter of time. Bomb ticking down ever so quickly. It'll be Pete to try and close the distance up and personal with that op, but Mad knows exactly where he is and outplayed. Ring around the rosy. They both go around and around the smoke until Mad comes out on top. But at the very least, AGG has made this round costly. Only one player survived. That was Mad with the op. He grabs it, gives it to Sven, and rebuys himself an AK. But you can see the economy of the T's not in the greatest of positions. We've got Instance and Hueka very limited on their utility, but at the very least, armor, op, AKs, the most important tools are there. On the side of AGG, though, the limitation much stronger. Pete does have his AWP, Rollin has an M4, but Hyper on a CZ, and Furlan and Grubby reduced down to that UMP. Now, at the very least, it is a decent weapon for close-range engagements, but now the op is dealt with. So outside control should be very easily taken by Genius here. When you find the opper on the opposing side, and you know that the economy of your opponent should be weak, this is a very good indicator of pushing outside. You need to use the distance advantage to your favor, and that's exactly what beGenius are doing right now. Just slowly working it out, slowly making sure there's nobody nearby, and then once they have all the knowledge they need, they'll capitalize and they will collapse upon a single site. But now Furlan, he's getting a little aggressive outside heaven, thinking about maybe peeking, repositioning down towards hell. He could catch somebody off guard outside here, but he's just being peppered by suppressive fire, and Hueka patiently just still sitting over here by the top of the ladder on lobby. This one could go either way, but Instance to find a frag in the top of heaven. Hyper trades things back, and he gets himself an AK, so that's crucial. They have a rifle now on the CT side as Grubby finds another kill. Sven does have the trade, and Hyper does the same. Kills going everywhere, every which way. It's down to the 1v1. Hueka versus Rollin. Now, Hueka has the health advantage, and he knows exactly where the CT is, but he lands the shot, and that's the end of it. AGG giving it up. Genius with their 14th round, 1 away from securing overtime, 2 away from victory, and the economy on the side of AGG is in shambles. Do they purchase, or do they save? That's the big question. And it looks like they'll be going for overtime. They're trying to bring it the distance. They've got themselves some upgraded pistols here in round 23, but not enough to find themselves success, in my opinion. They should just be crushed upon by the AKs and ops, and even the MAC-10 of Hueka. There's no armor on these CTs. They are soft, squishy, easy targets to be cleaned up and used to make bank, but they are getting aggressive. I like this. The CT's trying to change things up, trying to catch the T's off guard. A push from ramp in the form of Hyper will tell them that there's nobody over here by lobby, so they can actually stack this outside area, stack outside hut, and this is going to cause Genius to take the close range engagements, which can actually favor the pistols. But Hueka with the patience. This is 2 rounds now. He's just waited on the roof, and this time he finds himself a kill. Hyper goes up the ladder, and then Hyper goes down the well to hell. Demise, broken, crushed, and dead here in round 23. There's a minute on the clock, and the bomb's still outside Twinkie. 2 players for AGG sitting over towards Secret, though. They're just waiting for this peak ever so patiently. Hueka with another, though, just so patiently working this MAC-10. Here it is, Instance chiming in with a frag of his own. All of a sudden, the CTs crash. It looked like they could have maybe used those choke points to find a couple of kills, but for the time being, they have nothing. And Instance, again with these long-range engagements, just one-tapping the player from across the map. This time, it's him on heaven, and the dead player outside red. Rollin, he has that 5-7, and he actually gets the double dink onto Instance, so going to prove Instance not the only man who can land headshots at far distances. Rollin, great pistol shot to at least put a little bit of damage on the side of Genius, but again, at this point, it's just too late. There's no way that AGG can come back into this. Rollin, he would need a miracle to win a 1v4 retake scenario, especially since he doesn't have the kit. So he'll try to hold on to this pistol, try to hang on to everything he can, because next round will be crucial. It's up to AGG to hold on to it here. And Genius looking for revenge. Now again, I'll bring it up. A month ago on this map, it was AGG to win in overtime, 19-16. This time, however, it seems like of the two teams, Genius has gotten better. And now they have the lead, sitting on 15. They've got 7 rounds to work with. All they need is 1. Now, at the very least, AGG will have a decent economy to use here in round 24. Now, of course, they have to make sure they minimize their losses, because if they manage to win it and don't have many guns left, it will be very difficult to rebuy. So, 2 ops in the time being. Pete having 1, Hyper has the other. Rollin, Furlan, and Grubby all on those, M4s, and plenty of nades, but Pete is limited. And now he's being pushed, and now he's being taken care of. Jack to find the opening frag here for Genius. Instance finding frags though, gets that headshot onto Rollin. CT's bringing it back to the 3v3. Furlan is lit and the bomb is down, so the plant now coming through on the A site. It'll be a tight one. A site retake, health advantage for the side of Genius. AGG fighting for their series life here. This is the map, this is the round that is for all the marbles. Sven holding on from the top of heaven. He's going to be lit up now as well. Grubby still holding on to his health. Shots not landing for Sven. Very uncharacteristic for him to miss, and Furlan comes out on top. He gets that opening pick. Now a second for Furlan here as Instance drops. It's on to Jax. All he has to do is deny the defuse. All he has to do is get that player off of the bomb, but he will not do it because Hyper lands the shot, and it's Team AGG to survive to fight another day. Genius so close to the cusp of victory, yet at the same time so far away. They have the economy to rebuy into this one, and unfortunately for AGG, as do they. They saved one of those AKs and of course 2 other rifles. This means they can afford full economy, full armor. Everybody has what they need except for Sven, who does have that AWP, but no armor, no nades. This round favors AGG slightly out of the gates, but they have to continue with this momentum. They need 6 more rounds. Sven proving he doesn't even need Kevlar to find a frag. Furlan drops, Pete trades, Instance does the same. So the man advantage holding strong for Genius at the time being. They are, of course, working their way outside with the bomb. 3 players here with Jax sitting inside lobby. Again, just on the flank. Now, normally it's Hueca. This time it's Jax. But Hyper landing the shot on Hueca as he attempts to come around the corner, using that op to their advantage. Oh, Grubby caught in the open, does manage 1, but he is traded. Again, we're back down to the even man after plant. 2v2, but Pete is lit, and the utility currently favoring Genius. Now, they do have a Molotov on Pete, and a smoke as well, but there's so many flashbangs for Genius right now. If they can just use these flashes to control the round, just slow things down, they will be fine. Or even if they can get the kill onto Pete to start, but now he's looking the wrong direction. Pete served as the fragger. The distraction by Hyper will not be enough. Genius are your winners, and that is it. The best of 3 comes to a close. 2-1 for Genius. Good on the Frenchman. A newcomer up and coming scene for beGenius, and they find themselves success here versus AGG today on Nuke. Now, I don't know about you gentlemen, but that was one hell of a game, and it was brought down to the wire. Nice to see Genius get their revenge 1 month later after taking it from AGG themselves. So well done, Genius. Congratulations on your victory here today. That wraps things up for the Hitbox Challenger Cup. Gentlemen, if you have forgotten, I am Scrawny. I was your commentator all day long, and if you'd like to hit me with some support, you can follow me at ScrawnyGG. I will be back tomorrow for some more games here at the Hitbox Challenger Cup, which is brought to you by CSGO Lounge, Razer, Cases for real. Definitely check them out, guys. They have all sorts of promotions that you yourself can profit from. So check them out, follow for news. It is crucial. A big thanks to Hitbox for giving us a great platform to stream upon, and of course, the biggest thanks to Pixel Fire Entertainment for bringing me on board and bringing you guys the quality of this cast. A big thank you and a big good night. I'll catch you tomorrow with some more action here at the Hitbox Challenger Cup.